Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Alan Bell, CBS Sports Line, and welcome to A to Z Sports Picks. We have a great show lined up for you today. Brian's going to join us here in just a minute, but I wanted to go ahead and get started and get everybody ready for the betting weekend. Like I said, A to Z Sports is brought to you every Tuesday and Friday by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Everyone make sure to download that BetMGM app. Use promo code A to Z Sports for a risk-free bet of up to $1,000. That's BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. I've done it, used it. It's fantastic. They put those credits into your account ASAP. Try that. Make sure to download that app. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in the state of Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So like I said, Brian's going to join us here in just a minute, but I'll go ahead and get started. And where we always start with props on Friday. So I've got a couple here, and I'm going to look first at the Titans game, and this is going to be part of a later segment in the show when we break down the Titans and the Texans. But I think this is going to be a Randy Bullock type game. You look at the spread, it's 9.5 right now. Tennessee obviously at home against the Houston Texans. I'm not saying the Titans don't cover. I'm not saying the Titans don't win. I do think that this game has the potential to be a little weird. We've seen a little bit of a change in the Titans offense in terms of their defense actually manufacturing points over the last two games. We saw 14 against Los Angeles, 7 last week against the Saints. So understand, I'm not saying anything negative about the Titans whatsoever. I'm just noticing that it's a little bit different of a game plan, right? Like we all thought that, it kind of would be, once Derrick Henry went out. So I think that Randy Bullock, if you look at over 1.5 field goals, if you look at over 7.5 points for him, I think the points might actually be the better bet, because I wouldn't be surprised if he has 2 to 3 field goals in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 2 to 3 field goals plus 2 extra points in this game. So take a look there. I think that Randy Bullock is going to come up somewhat large in this one. And hey, everybody to the chat, Hal, Lucas, D, what's up? So glad that you guys joined us. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's Friday, right? Like, got to be fired up about that. So yeah, I like that prop. Another prop that I like is Carson Wentz over half an interception against the Buffalo Bills this weekend. You look at the Colts, right? Like, it's hard to say anything negative about this team. They've been as consistent, as an NFL team over the last 6 weeks or so, but they have been beating up on some pretty bad teams. Again, I'm not going to, sit here and slander the Colts whatsoever, but I do think that them going to Buffalo, they haven't been on the road since week 7, right? They're going up against that Buffalo Bills defense, who's only given up 10 points per game over its last 2. Plus, there's going to be weather. It's going to be cold. Could be snowing, in fact. So I really, really do like that one in that. All right, question in the chat here. D. Owen says, what do you think about college football, Michigan versus Michigan? Okay, so Ohio State is playing Michigan State. I'll say this. I know what you meant in terms of the question. So here's a little nugget. The last 7, and I've got to give credit to our man Tom Fornelli at CBS Sports, who came up with this and found it. Ohio State, the last 7 years, the game before they played Michigan, they are 0-7 against the spread, because it's something important to take a look at in terms. Oh, you're good, D. I totally got it. Totally understood it. You look at, these teams of where they're at in the season. Take a look at teams that have rivalry games coming up next week, teams that are in college football, the playoff contention, teams fighting for conference, title game clinches, and also teams that are fighting for bowl eligibility. And I think we have Brian back. Let me see if we can bring him in here. 1 second. Brian, you with us?
I'm here, my man.
Sorry about that. All right.
Good deal.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Welcome back, buddy. All right, so we just went through props, and I'll get with you here in just a second. We were talking about this Ohio State Michigan State game coming up this weekend, and I was just going over a stat. The last 7 years before the game before Ohio State played Michigan, Ohio State's 0-7 against the spread. So I think that there is, pay attention to teams that have big games coming up next week that might be looking ahead. Just something to think about. So. Back to the props really quickly. Like I said, I like Randy Bullock over 1.5 field goals. I also like him with the points at 7.5. I also like Carson Wentz over half an interception against Buffalo on Sunday. Brian, any NFL props that you have, man?
No, my apologies. I was in the process of trying to figure that out when I started having these tech issues, so I did not have one. My apologies.
You're good. You're good. All right, so we're going to jump into college football, what we were just talking about. So I'll say this. I'll go through my picks here. I've got 4. All right. Tennessee first half minus 15.5 against South Alabama. I think Tennessee is going to put up a ton of points like they've been doing in the first quarter. I think they continue it, even though the second quarter statistically has actually been their lowest scoring quarter of the season. I'm going to go with the Vols here, minus 15.5 in the first half. Again, we talked about it on Tuesday. South Alabama is not a bad team at all. And, that big of a spread for a full game, I just don't want to mess around with it. There's too much that could happen. But give me the first half, minus 15.5. Second game, I'm going to go with Michigan State plus 19.5 against Ohio State, like we just talked about. Ohio State being 0-7 the last 7 years in the game before Michigan. Plus, you look at this. Okay, so the line is 19.5. All right, next week, the look-ahead line, the opening line for Ohio State, Michigan, even though it is in Ann Arbor, is Ohio State minus 6. Right? Like, that's a huge discrepancy in terms of that number. And I think that Michigan State and Mel Tucker might play a little keep away. Now, if Ohio State truly wanted to cover the spread, I think that they could. But I don't know if they're up pretty much the entire game. Like, I'm going to ride the points. Again, Ohio State wins the game. But, yeah, I'm going to ride Michigan State with such a large number there. All right, next play, Virginia Tech, Miami, under 55.5. When teams – fire a head coach, you somewhat almost like you want to play them, right? Like the team's going to get a boost. Everybody, hated the coach. They're glad that he's gone, blah, 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 things like that. I don't think that's the case here with Virginia Tech. Like, I don't think that everyone is happy. I think everyone liked Justin Fuente. I think they wanted it to work out. It just didn't. I think that they come out flat. And I don't think that Miami is necessarily the offensive juggernaut that's going to, quote unquote, cover, the total themselves. So I'm going to ride the under 55.5 in that game. Last one, Illinois, Iowa, under 38.5. I don't even think I need to explain it. Like, it's Illinois, Iowa, under 38.5. Like, I'm just going to ride that. I think anything above 35, yeah, you just play the under that. So that's the 4 that I got. Brian, throw it to you, buddy. What you got, man?
Is my internet working okay?
We can hear you. The vision's a little choppy, but we can hear you fine. So just let it rip.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to go with Houston minus 9 tonight against Memphis. Memphis is 1-3 straight up, 0-4 against the spread on the road. Houston has won 9 games in a row since losing its opener to Texas Tech. They won 6 of those games by double-digit margins. They're undefeated at home, only 2-2 against the spread, but those were big double-digit numbers. So Houston minus 9. Oh, and also the Tigers are 2-5, but straight up and against the spread in their last 7, whether at home or away. Let's also fade this Indiana Hoosier team that is one of the nation's biggest disappointments. They're 2-8, both straight up and against the spread overall. They're 1-4, both straight up and against the spread in 5 home games. The only win and spread cover was against Idaho, an FCS opponent. And Minnesota's been really good on the road. They've won 3 out of 4. And depending on what line you got last week for the that Iowa game when they lost by 5, I had it for a plus 5.5 early in the week. I know it closed at 4, but to me, they're 4-0 against the spread on the road. But more than anything, we're fading Indiana. And if your number is 7.5, buy that half point, the key number of 7 for the Gophers. Let's also fade my Gators with Missouri plus 9. Let's also take them on the money line plus 260-ish. Maybe you might get a little bit better of a number. So LSU is 13th in the SEC in rushing yards, and they ran the ball for 321 yards against Florida. South Carolina is 11th in the SEC in rushing yards, and they had 284 rushing yards against the Gators. Now they face Tyler Beatty. Missouri's running backs leads the SEC in rushing, 1,239 yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, 6.2 yards per carry average. Florida is 1-4, but straight up and against the spread in their last 5. The only win in spread cover being against Vandy, and this abysmal defense has given up 49, 34, 40, and 52 in the last 4 games. I think Missouri wins outright. Let's also go with Boston College. You might be able to get a money line minus 125 or minus 1.5 or 2 on the spread. They've got Phil Dracovic back. They're 4-0 with him. They've got their mojo back with him. They've won by double digits twice since his return. He throws 13 completions and 20 attempts for 310 yards, 2 touchdowns without an interception at Georgia Tech last week, 41-30 win. He also ran for 71 yards and 3 touchdowns on just 8 attempts. And FSU only 1-2, both straight up and against the spread in 3 road games. And kind of like you were mentioning with Ohio State, a look ahead to Michigan, this is the ultimate sandwich spot for the Noles coming off their, home finale, big crowd, comeback win over arch rival Miami. And then on deck next week is their most bitter rival, Florida. So, and they're going up north to the cold weather. Granted, it's a noon Eastern kick, but I like BC. I'm also going to go Wisconsin -9 against Nebraska. The Badgers have won 6 games in a row, going 5-1 against the spread. During that 6-game winning streak, they're giving up only 7.3 points per game. Graham Mertz, they're not asking him to do much, thank goodness, but he has been better the last 5 games, 6-2 TDI-INT ratio. And despite giving up 41 to Notre Dame and 38 to Michigan, Wisconsin is still number 1 in the nation in total defense and run defense, and number 2 to Georgia in pass defense and scoring D, only giving up 14.6 points per game, even with the 41 against Notre Dame, which was 2 pick sixes and a special teams touchdown. Let's see. I have one more, just a small play on Nevada tonight. They've lost at K-State, a quality team, lost by 2 at Fresno, lost by 2 at San Diego State. Air Force is also a quality team, but I like Carson Strong in Nevada. They've won 9 in a row at home, laying 1 in Reno tonight. And is that all of them? I'm also going to go with UL Lafayette +4.5. They've won 9 straight games since losing to Texas. They're 7-3-1 against the spread, 11 games as a road underdog under Billy Napier. They've won 15 of their last 17 on the road outright. Lone losses at Texas and at App State in 2019 when App State went 13-1. And QB Levi Lewis, 26-3 in his last 29 starts. Raging Cajuns +4.5. Back to you, my man.
Nice. I like it. I like that Louisiana play. All right, jumping to the NFL here. All right, so 3 plays. Going with the Bills -7 at home against the Colts. You look at what Buffalo's done. 7 of their last 8 home games they've won by double digits. I think that they've gotten healthy, and they are catching Indy at the right time because it is going to be terrible weather up there. And Buffalo's defense could stop the run. I'm not saying that they take Jonathan Taylor out of the game completely, but I think that they do make Carson Wentz have to put the ball in the air more than they probably want to. And you look at Indianapolis, the record of their opponents that they've beaten is 12-34. All right. Indy hasn't been on the road since week 7. And you know what Indy is against teams with a winning record? 0-4. 0-4. That's straight up. Right. So I'm going to go with Buffalo here with the -7. All right. I'm also going to go Dolphins Jets under 45. Look, the Jets offense, they're starting Joe Flacco this week. I don't think that he's going to be much of a factor at all, especially against the Miami Dolphins defense, who we just saw last week against Baltimore, completely shut down Lamar Jackson. They run man press coverage about 50% of the time, which is second most in the NFL. They are a physical defense. They put pressure on your quarterback early and often throughout the game. They're only giving up, 9.6 points per game over the last 3. The problem is Miami's only scoring 16.9 points per game over its last 3 offensively. So I think this is going to be an ugly game. I could see a lot of running the ball, a lot of just trying to get the hell out of there. So give me the under there. Last play, Cardinals Seahawks under 49. Again, we look at Russell Wilson. We look at the Seahawks offense. It will be better than what we saw against Green Bay. I don't think it'll be much better. I still think they have issues to work out, and issues, quite frankly, to work out that they had before Russell Wilson got hurt. And then you look at the Arizona Cardinals. They're getting Kyler Murray back for this game. But again, I don't think that they're going to put Kyler Murray in a ton of risky positions just to win this one. Don't get me wrong. This win is very important, and it's not guaranteed whatsoever. I'm not saying that. But I think that Arizona will do everything they can to try and win, limit Kyler in terms of his exposure, and just get the hell out. So, yeah, Bills -7, Dolphins Jets under 45, Cardinals Seahawks under 49. What do you got, Brad?
All right, I'm going to go with the Saints +2 Now, look, if Kamara, if he were to get downgraded, I still like the Saints, but I guess what I'm saying is put a little bit on it now, and if Kamara gets upgraded, then make it a solid play amount-wise. But if he doesn't, if he gets downgraded, just have a little bit on this one. But look, the Saints, first off, back-to-back losses to the Red Hot Titans by 2, missed the 2-point conversion, rallied to get ahead of the Falcons, but give up that long pass to Patterson and walk off field goal. So 2 heartbreakers. But Simeon is, he is what he is, but he's not making mistakes. He's got 5 touchdown passes without an interception. I think the Saints defense will carry them in this game. Philadelphia is playing pretty good right now. Obviously, big win at Denver, but they're winless in 4 home games and 1-3 against the spread. So I will go with the Saints plus the 2. Look, I know Minnesota's in good form right now. They could easily be on a 5-game winning streak. They gave up the game-winning drive to Dallas there in the last minute or so, and then the overtime game in Baltimore. But they've won 3 of 5. But I can't turn down Green Bay at basically pick them -1 or so. And Green Bay, they've won 8 in a row when Aaron Rodgers is at quarterback. They're 8-2 overall, 9-1 against the spread, and they are 4-1 straight up, 5-0 against the spread on the road. I got to go with A-Rod and the Packers. And then I'm going to go with the Giants catching the big number. And my bad, not looking up that underdog stat. I believe it's 21-4. Their last 25 is road underdogs. But the key here to me is the Giants getting a lot of guys back. We don't know yet for sure, but they're probably going to have Saquon back. They might have Galladay back. Kadarius has had some time for that ankle to get better. So I think we're going to get a really game effort out of the Giants on Monday Night Football plus 11, and that's all I got. And just because I'm looking at it, I'll mention it. I see the look-ahead line for the Titans next week. It's +3 at New England. What a game that's going to be.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game. I can't wait to break that one down next week. All right, next segment here. The best bet, the one Titans bet to ride against the Texans. So I spoke about Randy Bullock. Like I said, I like over 1.5 field goals. I like over 7.5 points. Man, this one's tough because you look at, I don't trust the over. I don't trust the under. I think that Ryan Tannehill over 232 passing yards, I think that's a pretty good bet in this one because you're not going to have Jeremy McNichols, who, quite frankly, would be in the passing game, the short passing game. But it's tough because Houston's rush defense is terrible, and I think the Titans will have success on the ground. But I could see Ryan Tannehill putting the ball in the air and having a pretty good day. You look at A.J. Brown. He's played 4 games against the Houston Texans. He has 27 catches, 470 yards receiving, and 5 touchdowns. He's been a human torch against the Houston Texans. So I think that Ryan Tannehill with a low number like 232, I think that could be a good play as well. Brian, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm not implying it's like a big play on my part, but if I have to pick this game, I'll go under the 44.5. So Tennessee in its last 3 games, or I'm sorry, 3 of its last 4 games, they've had 44, 44, and 30. So they've gone under this number in 3 of their last 4. The Texans in their last, now granted they do have Taylor back, but they had him in the last game and only scored 9. Game before that, they got 22 garbage points in the fourth quarter. And the game before that, they had 5. And the game before that, they only had 3. They got bageled at Buffalo. The under is on a 3-1 run for the Texans and is 5-2 in their last 7. So if I did anything on this game, it'd be under 44.5.
I like it. It's not a bad play at all. And the Titans are, depending on where the number that you had last week on the total, the Titans are either 80% to the under or 60% to the under because I know that it fluctuated between 44.5 and 43.5. And the game middle right there at 44. So, yeah, the under at home has not been a bad play for Tennessee at all. All right, final segment here, our perfect parlay for the weekend. Look, mine's not flashy. It's not exciting, but I think it gets the job done. Plus 171. We've got Michigan money line, San Diego State tonight money line, Bills money line, Titans money line, Bucks money line. All right, so I'll read that again. Plus 171, 5 legs. Michigan money line, San Diego State money line, Bills money line, Titans money line, Bucks money line. What do you got, Brian?
I got Houston money line minus 360 tonight against Memphis. I've got Minnesota minus 290 at Indiana. These are all college, obviously. And then Wisconsin minus 360 to Nebraska. Just three to win outright. Houston Cougars tonight, Minnesota Gophers at Indiana tomorrow, Wisconsin Badgers minus 360, and that will pay us not much, but plus 119.57.
All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Thank you, A to Z Sports. Thank you, BetMGM. Thank you to you, because you continue this show and what we do here. So, Brian, all we have left is cash for tickets, buddy. Let's make some money this weekend.
Let's do it. And my apologies on the technical difficulties today, folks.
You're good, man. All right, everybody, have a good weekend. Let's cash some tickets. We'll see you on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central. Thank you.